And that'll be very exciting for everybody. So this morning it is, gosh, man, everybody's back at school, which is awesome. Super excited about that. I know you guys are excited because it kind of marks a new opportunity to pour into our business that we sometimes don't have as much of during the summer. So it's good because we have 16 weeks left to pen something this year between now and 1st of December, because December is all for next year, right? So we are excited about that. And we're also excited about the couple people that joined our company in the last week. Welcome. If it's your first time, definitely take time to go into chat and introduce yourself so we know kind of who you are and what you're doing. We're going to start this morning like we usually do, shout outs and gratitude. So if you click that little emoji button at the bottom of your screen, it'll raise your hand and then I'll know to call on you. So I'll give everybody a second to think about that, to click their button. And we love starting off this way because it allows us the opportunity to think back and think about, okay, well, what am I grateful for? Who am I grateful for? Who do I want to shout out? That sort of thing. Daniel Weiser, good morning.
Morning. Yeah, I am tremendously grateful for you. As some people don't know, it's your birthday week. And so grateful that you were born and the opportunity for that you presented for all of us to really change our lives and change other lives. So super grateful for that.
Yay. And it's also Daniel's birthday week and Jessica's, and there's so many Leos, which is very exciting. I know there's a ton of you. You know what I love the most is because there's 100 or so of us here in Texas. There's always someone who has a birthday that month. So it makes for a very celebratory month all the time. I love that. Thank you, Daniel, for saying that. Appreciate you. Sarissa, good morning.
Good morning. I just want to shout out to just Place in general for telling Adelina's story and my story and capturing it in video, because when I think about how do we sell something, facts tell, but stories and emotion actually sells. And so I'm just grateful to be at a company that's capturing our stories, because that's what's going to change lives. Our lives have been changed, and therefore we get to help change y'all's lives. But then capturing that is just so awesome. So I have gratitude for that this week.
I love that. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and link in the chat. If anyone doesn't have that link, I just posted it in the chat. And I love that. I agree with you, Sarissa. And one of my favorite things is that, especially as we're talking to other people we know, whether they're recruits, whether they're people that just have no idea, they're like, what is Place? This is such a great tool to now be able to say, hey, just go to this page and here it is. And then you get to hear it in different people's voices. So I think that's really, really cool. It's in the chat, guys. So I know Place is always looking to make it easier. And like Sarissa said, yes, stories are so important, right? Love it, love it, love it. Anybody else? Last call. If it's burning on your heart, you should tell us.
I'll go.
Yeah, Spencer.
Hey, so I wanted to give a shout out to some of our newer agents, two of them specifically. So we have Jess Flores, who started a couple months ago. She is just, she has been attacking with the intensity that a new agent that wants to build a business should be. She's set multiple appointments already and is one of our Mojo leaders. So really excited about that. And then yesterday, our newest agent, Colton, he started 2 days ago. He's going to be in the September Place training class. And yesterday he started working his Sphere and he set a buy sell appointment. So we're really excited about that too. So shout out to our new agents.
I love that. That's awesome. Great job, Jess, and great job, Colton. And Spencer and I both hired Coltons. First of all, Colton is not that normal of a name. It's not super easy. And to have two teams in Austin hire a Colton on two separate teams is pretty awesome. They were meant to be here. That is what I'm taking away from this. Great job, Spence. All right, cool. I have one shout out. We reviewed everyone's income goals here on our BKT Austin team, and I wanted to shout out the people who were tracking for their goal or tracking ahead of their goal. The goal that they set for themselves, their income goal for this year against where we are today, right? 62% of the year is complete. So I wanted to shout out Angela on our team and Casey on our team and Maria and Ashley on our team and Memo on our team who are tracking or tracking ahead. So I know that everybody's working hard. That's why the next 16 weeks matter so much, because we can make up any gap that we have in our income. Like this is the time to do it. This is 16 weeks. That's a long time in the sales world. It's a very long time and we can get it done. It does take some focus. So this morning, I'm going to switch gears and get into our topic for today. Today, we have two guest speakers. So if you want to kind of outline your notes in having two separate sections of it, they both have different insight, which I thought was going to be very valuable to us as we go into these next 16 weeks. Travis Bard is our first speaker. Travis is out of Arizona. Ali Volmer is our second speaker, and she is out of Texas. So Travis has an awesome team in Arizona. He's got a passion for explaining the consumer mindset during a shift and how to respond to these market changes, especially with buyers. So that's his topic if you want to just write quick little notes around that. And then Ali will be wrapping us up with a conversation on fear and language, because no matter how much we learn how to do something, leveling up our language to ourselves is what actually creates that pathway for success, especially in the market that we are entering, right? And I was at an ALC meeting yesterday, guys, and everybody was like, it was a really hard market that we just came out of. Oh my God, another hard market. And I was like, okay, pause. It was a stressful market we just came out of. Guys, it wasn't a hard market. There's a difference between stressful and hard, right? Stressful was like there was 1,000 offers on every property, right? That is really, really stressful. But hard is when you put up a listing and it doesn't sell in the first day, the first week, the first month. That's hard, guys. Hard is when your buyer wants to see 50,000 properties. That's hard, right? The other one is stressful, 1,000%. But it wasn't hard. It was easy and stressful. And life can be easy and stressful, right? But we're entering a market that can create stress. However, it is hard. So I just wanted to kind of take these conversations in this morning. So I am going to, I'm going to spotlight Travis because he's given up his time for us. I'm just so appreciative. First of all, Travis has a coaching call like at 9 o'clock our time. So I want him to go first. And before you get started, where are you located? Like, what's your team about? And what are you guys actually experiencing in your market, Travis?
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Texas. Thanks for letting me be in the house with you this morning. So I live in Prescott, Arizona, which is up in the mountains, 90 miles northwest of Phoenix. This is our hub. And we have 5 agents and our admin staff here. And then we have 2 locations in the Phoenix metro area, one in Phoenix and one in Glendale. And our market's done what everybody else's market's done. It's slowed down. It was somewhere between mid-March and mid-May when, I don't know that the brakes got put on the market, but things certainly changed. We got a flat tire, maybe 2 flat tires, and things have changed. We're battling through the increased inventory, the buyer demand that's dropped off, just like everybody else has across the country. And this is time, as Adelina said, this is when we roll up our sleeves and go to work. It's just a different market, a different time, but it's exciting.
Yeah. So background, have you always been in real estate? What's kind of like, what do we need to know about you?
It seems like forever. I've been full-time in real estate for 23 years. And we joined Ben as an expansion partner in July of 2019. And stepped into the most amazing world and the most amazing opportunity that we ever could have hoped for at that time. And it's just been, we're hugely blessed. Our team has grown a lot since then. There was 5 of us at the time when we came in. We're somewhere approaching 20 now. And we're changing lots of lives, lots of clients, lots of agents. And it's just gotten really exciting.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so if you're taking notes, he's in Prescott, Arizona, also has teams in Phoenix and Glendale. Their slowdown started anywhere between March and April, which probably mimics a lot of our slowdowns. And I love what you said. It's like the market got a flat tire. So interesting. Do you have access to do whiteboard?
I do.
And get into your topic? Awesome. Let's go.
I'm going to roll here. So I can get a little nerdy and geeky on. So I'm going to do that right now. Nope, it'll let me. Share screen. Okay. Can you guys see a whiteboard?
Yes, and I'm actually really excited because I've actually never used the whiteboard on Zoom. So you're going to be the first person I've ever seen use it. So I'm ready.
Awesome. And you, as I move the camera, you can't see up my nose or anything, can you? So I'm just, so that I can.
No, you're okay. You look good.
Okay. All right. So what I wanted to do is I got to thinking about the consumer experience and what are we facing in the real estate world, but what are we facing in general? Because I'm a true believer that the market will respond to price shocks in a lot of different ways. So we're going to start off with a little bit of a analogy. And I'm going to go back to one of the things that we all live every day is gas prices. And we've seen a couple of different things in our market. Number one, if we look at prices here, what did you all experience in gas prices, say in February of this year? We were somewhere in the 250 to 3 range for regular gas. Does that sound right?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think we were like in the 3s for sure, like low 3s. Okay.
So demand at that time was high, right? Prices are low, demand's high. We had a number of market activities take place, and all of a sudden gas prices started to go up. So what we found right here is all of a sudden we have consumer resistance. Gas prices shot up, all of a sudden they're at $4. Everybody's like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm going to work from home 2 days a week. I've come back to the office, but I'm going back. I'm going COVID mode. I'm going back to the home office 2 days a week because I can't afford gas. We're not taking the trip. We're just going to pull things in for a little while. So all of a sudden we started to see market resistance to prices. Then as the market keeps going up, all of a sudden in our market, we came close to $6. We hit that 550 plus number, right? And that's the time then people were like, wait a minute, we're timeout, we're canceling vacation, we're not going to grandma's house, we're not going to the beach, we're done. That was a time where all of a sudden they started to have an emotional response to the market. Did y'all live that? I mean, I certainly did. I planned a trip. Part of my background is rodeo. I planned a rodeo trip to Oklahoma that just so happened to fall right at that time. I was hating life when I was fueling up to leave. I got a truck and a trailer. I get about 8 miles to the gallon. It's a long ways to Oklahoma from Arizona. I was hating life. $5, $5.50, $5.75 for fuel when I'm leaving Arizona. I got to Texas. I got to Shamrock, Texas, going across I-40. All of a sudden, I started to see stuff below 5 o'clock, and I'm thinking, I've scored. I've won. I pulled into a game. I squeezed every drop of that diesel out of it. Like somebody had just given me the only lime to squeeze into the only cold Corona on the beach. I'm like, I'm getting every ounce of fuel I can. Why? Because I had an emotional response to that. But I had gotten to the point where I reconciled that I had to make this trip. So what happened is I adjusted my emotional response to the market, and I just decided to bite the bullet and go. What happens at a time like this, though, is two things adjust: the market and the consumer. The consumer starts to adjust their habits, their mindset. the market starts to adjust how it delivers the product. So increased demand in the gas world, increased supply, maybe refineries put on a different shift, something there adjusted because there was a high point in those fuel prices. Then they start to tail off. Then over here, we get to a point where people start to participate again. We got to a point where people participate. They go ahead and go, okay, we're not going to go to the West Coast to the beach. We're going to go to the Gulf Coast. We're not going to go all the way to Colorado, or I mean, we're not going to go all the way to Canada, but maybe we'll go to Colorado or the mountains, something like that. They adjust and then they start to participate. This is when necessity starts to come into people's mindset. And so down here, right, we're back about $4 on gas. I've seen stuff $3.99 a time or two here lately. So the market starts to adjust, consumer mind start to adjust, and people start to participate. That make sense?
Yeah, I love that. And then if you're looking at the screen and you can't see the whole thing, all you do is click this little zoom in, zoom out button on your thing, and it will let you see his whole thing. And I would probably maybe screenshot this because this is a really good conversation.
And I should be able to share this back out too. So I'm going to switch. I'm going to go to another slide. Do you see a fresh slide now?
Not yet.
Okay. So I'm going to go back then. I'm going to get out the old eraser. I'm going to erase a few things here so that y'all don't have to switch screens. But what we're going to talk about now is what we live every day, which is interest rates. Mm. What's happened in our world that's similar? We were over here, we were at sub-3 rates at one time, right? Then all of a sudden, so these are rates. What happened is we started to go up. All of a sudden we hit 4% rates. That's where we hit this point where the buyers started to back off, right? They're going, wait a minute. I like that 3% rate. I like that 2.75 on a 30-year fixed. This 4%, that is unacceptable. So they back off. Then what did we see? Did you guys see 6% rates? Or
yeah, we hit 6.25 here a couple of weeks.
So it's 6% rate. All of a sudden what happens is people put their hands in their pockets, they quit answering their phone, they're not surfing the internet, they're not looking at prices and houses near as much. Why? Because they are totally in resistance mode. It's a very emotional response to that. There's a business decision response to it. There is a qualifying response to it. I mean, there's a reason, but a lot of it is the emotion. People back completely off. So when that happens, if we believe in the market, we start to see adjustments. We start to see some people, the consumer adjustment, they're like, we have to buy now because we just got this job transfer. We're moving here to Austin from somewhere else and we've got to buy. The market, it starts to happen. It starts to adjust. How many of y'all had never seen a 2-1 buy down before June or May?
I think so a lot.
Yeah, you hadn't seen this. I hadn't seen it in a while either. So there are different things that started to come in the market. All of a sudden you start to see listings where people are offering $10,000 towards buyers' closing costs. So the market starts to come into and make adjustments. The consumer mindset starts to make some adjustments. They start to, they kind of, there's a little bit of acceptance there. There is skeptical, it's a skeptical acceptance, but they're like, I'll pay this because my lender tells me I can refi out of it in a year or two if rates go down. I'll take that 2-1 buy down because if rates go down at the end of year 2, I can refinance back out. So people start to adjust a little bit. But then there's also those people that have necessity. They have to buy. So they start to participate in the market. Market dynamics come in, and then all of a sudden we start to see 5% rates again. We start to see, in our world, we see FHA rates in the low 4s. You in a lot of your Texas markets, jumbo rates are 50 or 100 basis points lower than regular rates. So we are now seeing rates come back down, and more people are participating in the market. They're stepping in. We started to see it 2 weeks ago in our markets. The buyer calls started to come in a little bit more. They started to come back to the websites. Our web activity went up. A couple of reasons. Adelina mentioned it. Everybody's back to school. So we've gone from summer vacation mode to family work mode and get things done mode. So part of the reason we're going through all of this, yep, Casey, you're right, they're coming out of hiding. This, for us as real estate agents, one of the things that's so important for us to understand is we're dealing with emotions. And it's important for us to find people that are right here. They've adjusted to the market. They've adjusted their mindset. There's a necessity. There's a desire to come back into the market. If we have those people that are still resisting, they're 90 days off. Sellers, buyers, if they're still resisting to what's happened in the market and they're not going to pay this rate, then those are people that we don't need to be poured into right now. We can put them on a drip. We can talk to them in 30 days. They haven't come to terms with the market. So what we're talking about in all of our scripting and the conversations with our people is these are the people right here that we want to find. The people who've come to terms with the market, who understand, are willing to listen to a conversation about buy downs, about refinances when the time is right, about doing things, about buying a house now that would have sold for $450 2 months ago that they can buy for $400 now, and comparing the numbers and looking at saying this is still actually a good deal. So I had this conversation with our team. I've probably taken more time than Adelina wanted, but I just wanted to be able to share this because our people felt that it was very valuable just to understand the mindset and to know who do we need to be talking to, who do we need to be looking for and having conversations with.
I actually really love this because number one, it puts it in a chart format to, first of all, aligning it with a different industry, guys, right? Like our industry is not the only industry that has ever had any kind of these sort of things, right? Gas prices is such a great example of it because I felt that way. I mean, I would go up to like gas up my Audi and I'm like, ew, what is this? What is like, ugh, it's like you want to throw up, right? And then you adjust as the prices adjust. And so I really, really like this.
Yeah, so for us, it's time to go out and find those people that are like-minded who went ahead and went on that summer vacation, who went ahead and decided to buy that house or decided to start looking. And you can see it in their activity online. You can hear it in their voice on the phone calls. And it's our job to heed those buying signs and that shift in their emotion and in their willingness to play.
I love that, guys. Remember like Bob at Brivity, he always talks about buying signs, right? You go in your Brivity and you see who's popped up, who's like actually looking at homes online, who's opening your market reports, right? And then your job is to find the people who are aligning with the adjustments, right? And to do that, to be able to do that, what do you have to do? You have to actually like have enough of those reach outs to find the ones that are aligned with this market so that you're not wasting your time with people who don't yet have the desire. They're 90 days off, right? They're in the adjustment period. They're not adjusted yet. I love that. Anything else? Any feedback you'd give us on like, how do we end the year strong? Anything you're telling your team? Is there anything that comes to mind of like, how do we make the next 16 weeks count?
You know, for us, it's one deal at a time. It's find that person. We have to walk people from point A to point Z right now. Before we get them in, our battle was getting the accepted deal and then battling through the next one. But right now, we're seeing a lot of cancellations during escrow. So it's a matter of what can we do to bulletproof that that specific transaction and make sure that we put a 95, 100% chance of it closing, rather than getting it under contract and then going to the next one and realizing something along the way got squirrely and we lost them. Financing, inspections, their emotions. They talked to Uncle Bob and Aunt Sally somewhere who told them that the market was going to crash and they bailed. We've got to be in front of them because they're going to be hearing something from somebody else that's going to throw them off track if we're not careful.
I like that. So if you're writing down notes, tighten up every deal. You go under contract, before you go under contract, tighten up your conversations with your people. Love that. That's really good, Travis. Thank you. I'm going to go to Ali. You stay on as long as you want. And I'm very appreciative.
Well, we love our Texas brothers and sisters, and I'm going to have to jump off. I got a coaching call I got to jump on, but always here to help you guys. And will
you pop your contact information in chat for us so that we can save you in our phone as our Arizona connection? Because that would be really great. Love that. Appreciate you very, very much. Ali, I will go to you, and we are going to have a conversation. So for those of you who don't know Ali, I don't know perhaps what rock you've been under, or maybe you're brand new to the company. But Ali is in Dallas, Fort Worth, and she has had a recent promotion to Director of Sales for the BKT Dallas team, which is really exciting. Yes, I see all the hand claps, very well deserved. And so you recently attended some great workshops to work on mindset and the human mind. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Okay. You want to like tell us a little bit about that? Kind of like just tee us up for like what you've been kind of going through, which is where all of this is like coming out of you now.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jen Smith, who's on our Ellis County part of our team, or DFW South is what we call it. She shared a forum with me. It's called Landmark Worldwide. I'm sure some of you have heard it. And she shared this forum with me. She said it would be really beneficial for me to attend it. And I was adamant that it would not be beneficial for me. And then she told me at one point, she was like, I just don't think, you know who you are. It's what she said. And I love Jen, but when she said that, really ticked me off, because I feel like if anybody knows who they are, I know exactly who I am. But come to find out, she was absolutely right. And it wasn't that I didn't know who I was. It just was that I was creating a person that I was being out of language that I was using to talk to myself, basically in all situations. And so I was super thankful to have attended it. I definitely pouted the whole first day, part of the second day, but by the end of the forum, I felt just like a new person. And so about 2 months ago, it wasn't that person wasn't here. I don't want to sound crazy. She was here, but I just decided to show up a certain way despite my fear. Right. And so that's kind of where we're at. And so because of that, and because Sarissa is awesome and allows for each of us to show up as leaders in our own way, we started doing something called Transformation Tuesdays. And on Transformation Tuesday, we talk a lot about mindset. And some of this is stuff that, honestly, throughout as a teacher, as a principal, these are things that I was teaching kids all the time, teaching teachers as well. I just have a better way of, just implementing it in a Transformation Tuesday conversation. And so we've been doing that. And what it all boils down to is the language around everything that we're doing. There's, emotions evolve out of language, even if you don't realize that and it may be a habit at this point when you feel emotion, but it's based on something that you've talked to yourself about in your mind. And so we talked a little bit about that the other day, which is that, your mind, there is no mind. And this may sound a little out there for some people, but if you take a second to think about it and understand that I'm not crazy, if you cut your head open, there's no mind inside there. There's a brain, there's eyes, there's bones, there's blood, whatever else is in there, but there is no mind. And so what is there is language. You do talk to yourself. Of course you talk to yourself. And so when you realize that, well, this is just how I feel, it's not really how you feel, it's how you talk yourself into feeling. And so when we, we're dealing with clients and our jobs and our career, we're always talking about our script, and we're always talking about objection handling, right? But until we become the masters of objection handling with ourselves, then it's really hard to objection handle with other people. And so in order to objection handle with yourself, you have to understand that the things that you're feeling and the things that you're thinking have a lot to do, actually everything to do with what you're saying to yourself. Am I on the right track for you, Adelina?
I love it. Yeah. I'm like, whoa, yeah, keep going.
Okay, cool. So the other day we were talking about, on this past Tuesday, we were talking about fear. And the reality is that fear does not truly exist. Yeah. Unless you allow for it to exist. Fear is defined as, I'm going to read it to you guys because I have it right here in front of me, but fear, when you look up the definition of fear, fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or a threat. That's really something to be fearful of. When your life is threatened, of course we should be afraid. But when it comes down to it, when we're like, oh, we're afraid of this conversation, we're afraid of the future, fear really boils down to 4 different things, and that's uncertainty, attention, change, and struggle, right? Because fear oftentimes evolves out of being uncomfortable. But when we can decide that fear, the true definition of fear is that it's when our life is being threatened, then we need to change the language around that. So when we feel uncomfortable, is it really that we're nervous, or is it that we're excited? And so we're always moving so fast that instead of being like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous, or what's going to happen with the market and blah, 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 whatever it is, if you take a minute to really be present with yourself and present with what you're saying to yourself and how you're objection handling the things that are going on in your mind, then you can change the script. So you have to be purposeful in that, and you have to be purposeful in that in the same way that you do anything else in life or in business. When you have a conversation with your kids, I know that, and as a teacher, I don't have children, but I absolutely know that the way that I speak to them and the words that I use are so important, especially when redirecting behavior. But we don't take the time to switch the script on ourselves and redirect our own behavior. And that's the key to it all. I just feel like when you realize that fear is a word. And so you can pick any other word to replace that. Jen Smith, it's the same body sensations, fear or excited. I'm so glad she's on here, Jen, whatever else you got to say. But it has absolutely changed my whole life. In this conversation right now, I'm really not a nervous person, but I of course would have felt nervousness, but really that would have been excitement. And right now what I feel is the body sensations, like Jen is saying, of being excited. And I understand that. And so I'm not afraid of this conversation. I'm not afraid of speaking in front of all of you guys. And that's not that I didn't feel that way previously, but even in the sense that, people are talking about the market. And we were saying this on our Monday meeting with Sarissa, people are saying what they're saying about the market, right? But we could change the script on that too. We have to believe it ourselves first, but we can also change that script. And so I decided the other day that I was going to post a story about these people that I got under contract. They just closed. We made an offer below asking because the market shifted. Yeah. And so how awesome. We looked for all of last summer, made really, really great offers, could never get a house. But guess what? This market is allowing people to get houses and make reasonable offers. And they're pumped and they're excited and they're first time home buyers. And here's a picture of them. And here's my script about what happened. And I'm not afraid. Right. So that's just like a little glimpse of what you could do to create language around what the market looks like, because you have to actually be out there and saying the things. But yeah, do you want to ask me? I feel like I'm like rambling now, and I definitely don't want to be.
No, you are not rambling at all. I think you're on the right track. So I'm curious, like if I'm an agent and maybe I do struggle with like the things that you said, which is fear, right? Maybe it's uncertainty, maybe it is struggle, maybe it is change. Like, are there any types of how to get started, or here's a way you can implement to, like, when you feel this, here's how do you get out of it, or how do you objection handle yourself? Honest to God, like, I know it's probably obvious to a lot of people, but maybe it's not obvious to me. Like, how do you do that? Like, what would you recommend?
Yeah, so it's really simple. It is. So look, that's the language I'm creating. This is very simple. It boils down to what happened. And then, so if you're saying it's about attention, well, when people look at you, when you get called on at school and people look at you, like, what happened in that moment? And you have to keep it very factual. People looked at you, right? That's it. That's all that happened. But as kids, we've created this whole thing. People look at you, you get attention. When everybody looks at you, all of a sudden you feel pressure, right? And then you've created this story that when people look at me or people are paying attention to me, I have to have the right answer. I have to say the right thing, or I might look dumb, or whatever it is. But that's all a story around the fact of what happened. And what happened is people just looked at you. People looked at you. And so when you're starting to feel worried about the market, or you're like, I don't know how to have this conversation, obviously, like, go above and beyond to practice your scripts and be confident about your scripts. I mean, that's huge. That's language right there. There's a reason the scripts use the words that the scripts use. So if you can get confident in using the scripts, that's awesome. But then when it boils down to, like, why can't I present this the right way? Or why am I feeling, like, uncertainty about this? Well, are you really uncertain? Or did you have some sort of experience where when you were uncertain, you maybe messed up? And so now you've created a story for yourself that when you're uncertain, things don't go the way that you would hope for them to go. But that's just one experience. And you may have been living within that language since that happened for you. And as soon as you can bring it down to the facts of what happened, then you can move on and you can create the next story around that. When I feel uncertain, it gives me an opportunity to become confident, and it gives me an opportunity to create new language around something that I'm excited about. I'm uncertain, but I'm going to make this an amazing thing. I'm certain that there's great possibilities out there if I do this despite my fear that I came up with.
I really love that. Does anybody have any questions around this? And I love what you just said. Like, I'm certain about the possibilities, right? Like, you can always be certain of something.
Absolutely.
I love that. Any questions? Any questions? Just want to make sure that if we do have any, that we get to go through them. Because what I loved, I heard Allie talk about, I know Allie is talking about this with her Dallas team, which is awesome. I'm obviously not there, so I can't really, like, listen to everything she says. But I heard her yesterday talk about this just for a split second. And I was like, oh, I really like this, because it doesn't matter how much we learn in every power up, in every Friday Chris call, and all of the things, right? Like, if we don't, like, change up here, like, our external, like, results won't show up in the way that they could, right? Like, the pathway to success starts with us. It starts up here. Sarissa, I see your hand.
Like, where's unmute? This conversation makes me think of a couple things. It makes me think of that quote, like, fear or faith, you choose. We get to choose how we show up. We get to choose who we want to be, and therefore the actions behind that. And we can choose every day. Like, so if you weren't that person yesterday, choose to be that person today. It also makes me think, when you were saying earlier, oh, it was a hard market before. And, like, well, guess what? This, there was language around that. Well, this is a hard market too. Choose your hard, right? Like, we can make it harder on ourselves because of what we're telling ourselves. Instead, there is huge opportunity right now, and we're going to go find it. So I don't know. I just think this is all about choice as well.
Totally. Yeah, you're spot on with that. And I think that's that's the thing, is whenever I like, immediately when someone's like, oh, this is a hard market, or it's shifting and it's negative and blah, like all this stuff, I'm always like, oh my gosh, how I feel bad that they're thinking that this is so hard. Like, obviously there's challenges, but guess what? all of us grow in the uncomfortable moments. None of us grow in the comfortable moments. If you realize that the second you feel uncomfortable, whatever that version of whatever that means to you, but that's an opportunity for growth, wouldn't we be more excited in uncomfortable moments? Like, you just have to change the way that you feel about it. And I definitely think Jen Smith put the link to Landmark in the chat. And so this is not something that came to me because I sat there for like a 3-hour session and like figured it out. This is something that several people on our team in Dallas have attended now. And so if you want to do it, it takes days to like go through the course, but it's absolutely been worth it. But in the same breath, I know that not everybody can or would want to attend. So that's why I think that sharing kind of some of the ahas and things that have come out of this have been great. And then I do have to say, in the same way that language is so important, that every Transformation Tuesday that we always say that, you know, transformation can only happen through conversation. And so we are vulnerable with each other in these meetings, and we're able to say kind of what we're thinking or what we want to create for ourselves, or where we've been being fearful or whatever. Because then when you share with other people the language you've been using, but the language that you want to use, then it also creates new accountability. So you just have to be vulnerable and expressing like where you are and where you want to be.
I really love that. I love that. I feel like this is such an odd year because, you know, we have come off of, you know, 2 years of pandemic that really shifted how we all lived and how we went about life, right? And then there was this, you know, very different market from what any of us ever thought it would be, which was this red hot market, right? For many of us. And then, you know, boom, another market, right? A completely different market, like on the other side of the extreme where like, it felt like, you know, like everything was falling apart, right? And I feel like a lot of us, at least what I'm seeing is like, we're feeling kind of let down. Like life isn't supposed to be like this. Like I'm hearing these conversations of like, well, when's life going to be good? Right. And I love this conversation because life will never be like the good that, like if it's easy, it means that we're probably dead. Like the people that don't have any problems are the ones in like the graveyard. They have zero problems, right? And so I think about that and I'm like, well, gosh, so like life becomes our language.
Yeah.
And so you can have a great life during a difficult time. You can have a great life during a different time. That all comes down to the language and the beliefs we have around our language. And so my heart goes out to everyone who just feels let down this year. Like, gosh, it was supposed to be my year. It was supposed to be good. And then something else happened. And the reality is it's always going to happen. Like next week will be something else and next year will be something else. Like that will never go away. So until we can like develop the skill of talking to ourselves through this, like this is why I'm like, oh yeah, let's talk more about this because this is real life.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, Adelina, like for me, when people like my mind is not immediately positive, for sure not. Like my mind's immediately just like everybody else's. We're all human beings and we all have these thoughts. And like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get more business. What am I going to do? You know, and then it's like, wait, what's happening right now? Oh my gosh, right now I have the opportunity to get more business. Like, let me figure out what that means for me today in this moment, not tomorrow, not what I should have done a week ago. You know, this year, my dad died. A couple of years ago, I got divorced. I had to come and take care of my mom. There's like so many things that happen in life. We're all going to have those things, but what is happening presently? So if you can get in tune with like, what's happening now? What do I have control of right now? Your thoughts, your language, and whatever, like just the actions of even clicking the keys of whatever it is you need to do. But yeah, I do feel for those people that are living in that, you know, this is supposed to be my year. You know, it can still be your year. It doesn't have to be exactly the goals that you came up with before. Maybe those weren't perfect and not perfect for this season of your life, but this can still be the year. You just have to decide that for yourself.
I love that. This can still be your year. Like if you take nothing else away, but that this can still be your year. Absolutely. Thank you, Allie, for leveling us up this morning. It was really, really good. Guys, if you're attending Mega Camp next week, live and in person, we'll see you there. Like if you're not added to our Facebook chat for that, so that you can stay up to date, just let me know that you need to be added, so that so you can get added, so you know what's going on. Otherwise, next week, next Thursday, we'll do our yearly top Mega Camp takeaways, so that if you were not at a place where you were ready to go and invest in going to a live event, you can get all of the takeaways, so that as if you were there. So have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you tomorrow on Chris's call, and appreciate you guys so much. Bye, guys.
Thank you.